We're back. I got some more coffee, but this time I just didn't put cream in it.
You've been drinking a lot of coffee, my friend, and now comes the time where we need to have the talk, okay? So Scott, as you get older, your heart becomes worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
When you put lots of stress on it by having like 6 shots of coffee in 4 hours, in less than 4 hours, because professional streamer, it's difficult for your heart to cope. And you put yourself at more of a risk. Look, he can't even focus on what I'm saying right now. He just hears noises. That's it. He's just so goddamn hyper right now. He's like, "Argh!"
My blood pressure and my heart, my blood pressure, my heartbeat, all that stuff are all like amazing. They're all like really
What you can't
good.
see is the fact that his camera is set on a pogo stick, and that's the only way he can stabilize.
Right. So
everything in there is currently bouncing around.
So fun thing to know about me is that I've always had an addictive personality. That's why I've obsessed about D&D my entire childhood, and why I played like D&D like crazy amounts my whole life. Why back when I used to drink like a ton. Like I'll talk about back when I used to party, and I'm not exaggerating when I say like I would outdrink everybody as like a hardcore point of like, ha! I could do this, and like it was like super intense, and like pretty much anything I ever did was like I went hard into it. And there was a period of time where I pretty much got rid of everything, including caffeine. I would drink decaf coffee only sometimes. At that point in time in my life, I was running a lot and I was like working out a lot, and that was my addiction. But like I don't have time to run, so if my addiction has to go from something that I can do without spending time doing it, I think coffee is the best option. You know what I mean? I suppose marijuana theoretically is the best option because it's non-addictive. It's just the personality that's addictive as opposed to the thing that you're consuming. But marijuana alters your state of mind, and I don't like that state of mind. So I'll go with caffeine. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Caffeine kind of does the same thing, just not as much.
No, caffeine gives you like it's actually a what's the neural stimulants. Like I can't remember the phrase for it. Neil, you might know it better, but it actually makes you like more alert, more like hyper focused, so on and so forth. It's a stimulant, but there's a neural.
You mean coffee's a stimulant?
Yeah,
but
but
marijuana is a depressant. They're the opposite thing.
Yeah. But both of them have the ability to stimulate your minds to be like more alert, more creative, more productive, so on and so forth.
Marijuana won't make you more alert because it's a depressant. Like how alcohol will not make you more alert. Well, at first, because
see, if I remember correctly, marijuana is also a stimulant. Like
we'll discuss this off air.
The police is en route, Scott.
Time.
It's like
Open up, it's the FBI.
Yeah.
I can't do that meme to my friends.
I don't smoke pot, so I'm safe. Can't get me.
We can do that, all right?
I'm pretty sure marijuana is a depressant.
Yeah, it is a depressant. Yeah.
Yeah. I see. If I remember, like, I always knew it to be a depressant because like the effects of it are obvious. But I thought at one point in time I read an article that said, "Oh no, it's actually a stimulant. People just misconstrue it with a depressant because
it could have a stimulant effect, I guess, because alcohol, like with your first few drinks, has a stimulant effect.
Well, lowered inhibitions and whatnot, and so you become like more open and more before you're like drowning in it, you know. But either way, even if I did read that article, even if what I'm saying is true, it could have just been a shit article. And it was so long ago, I can't remember those details. So it doesn't really matter. Either way, caffeine is probably the healthiest addiction you could have.
Yeah, I like caffeine. I'm down for coffee. And coffee itself just, so good.
So let's keep going.
5 minutes tangented.
You have all of your items.
5 minutes? That's putting it mild.
You have all your items. You hit the road, Jack. And never gonna come back. No more. Why is Game of
have time for this.
Oh no! Game of Thrones music started playing. Oh, that whole area is just gonna be blocked off of Twitch because Game of Thrones music. Yeah, seriously. Game of Thrones music played at some point in time during the break. It just picked up. Oh, that whole area is chunked out.
Well, yeah, that entire bit of us talking's gone now forever.
Oh, that's good.
Back on track.
So you guys are on the road and heading to the west because there's nothing else that you need to do in this town. You've shopped and grabbed everything you needed to grab. Please.
I want to grab 300 GP worth of diamonds.
That's actually You know, I've said this is a trader's town. You can find everything because that's 21 check. So yes, I will allow it to happen. But you have to pay 325 GP for it.
Oh.
No, I'm just. There's no. There's no
I-
joke. It's no joke.
Can I get a glass eye, please?
What do you
Actually,
kind of...
yeah.
He doesn't want an eye patch.
Yeah. That's actually the 300
little
GP of
smile
diamonds.
on
It's
it.
like a diamond eye. Just a very, very rough cut.
Oh my god.
It's all ready to go for when he dies again. Just whoop.
Yeah. Yeah, the eye just gets absorbed in and bam.
It's like a Mad Eye
Back to
Moody.
life.
Mad Eye Moody component. So you guys hit the road, and from Dorian to the west to Brookalon Forest, there's actually not going to be any roads that primary roads that lead through there. Just like smaller roads that others can take and whatnot. Actually, probably one of the the easiest ways to trek into the woods themselves would be to hit the Adelaide River. And to travel, so like at the part that you guys would be joining onto it, be halfway across the trip, the plains from Dorian to the wood's edge itself, and then travel along there. That's the easiest way to trek your way in. And once you actually get into the forest itself, then you can start branching to the south to where it is that you need to go. And these are what the instructions of the map tell you to do. Now, these plains themselves were the area where many battles had happened in the past few wars. And so there are some areas in here that certainly would be interesting for your characters to explore. You can imagine the number of wraiths and whatnot that might exist here, souls that are left unrested that you might want to investigate upon, or even treasures you could find just from a corpse that has not been kicked over and looted yet. And that kind of stuff might, kind of catch your character's mind for a short period of time. But then you come to the realization, like, we don't got time for this. We got to keep pushing on. So you do. Time of the essence, and you guys push that ride. You're feeling a lot better there, what's your face, Tal, than you had been prior. Do you guys want to ride hard, knowing the recent history, or do you want to continue to keep it a steady pace?
I'd be down for pushing it. I'll probably ruin my horse, but
I mean, let's do it. Let's push it.
All right, let's push.
Push it. Roll them dice now. Push it. You can do a handle animal check. Sorry. You can do for each of your steeds. Roll me their Constitution saves. Remember, if you have Dune or whoever had the other good horse, they get a bonus to that. Did Dune ever get its own character sheet?
No, you didn't create my character sheet
I'll
because
do
you're a
that for you.
monster.
I'll do that for you right now.
Who was the other good horse? Is it Louis?
Get away with Bran.
It was, but then Bran took it.
Yeah, Luis is the other good horse, I think. Yeah.
Or Anne has it.
I hasn't. I'm probably gonna need the +1 to be honest.
I don't think I have a horse
All players have a horse inside the journal.
inside the journal.
Yeah. What's your name?
Hand
Talibust. Whoa. What? Tal.
Doesn't matter. I'm rolling animal handling anyway. I'm just gonna go ahead and roll it now.
Here you go, Tal. Boom. You now have a horse to
Thanks.
fiddle with.
Thanks.
I don't have a fucking horse.
But I'm gonna like do that, but
you-
not like you've been
Well, we
talking
can
about
do it.
fiddling with horses. the
You
other
should.
day.
You do have a horse. Who rode
Where
that
is-
first one?
That was me, but I forgot I could roll animal handling.
Oh, it didn't show your name. That was weird.
Yeah, I put my name as riding horse.
Oh. I was like, what the hell?
That's pretty funny. So, Dune has a +1 to Constitution, so basically has a 14 Constitution score.
Okay.
Wow. This one.
I'm gonna change that right now. Bam. There we go. Done.
Oof.
Okay.
Oof.
Oof, indeed.
Hard oof.
Hold on. I got animal handling.
Okay. So for the horses that did poorly on the Constitution, it just means that they're getting exhausted. Oh, what is up, Aaron? How are you doing? So for the horses that did poorly on the Constitution save, more or less it just means they're getting exhausted quickly. The ride is hard on them, so on and so forth. But the animal handling allows you to kind of like spur them to do more. Brandon, I don't think you rolled your Constitution save yet. Can you do that for me real quickly? but you're able to like spur them on to continue riding, so on and so forth. Brent, you might not even have had to make that check if you roll well with this next one that you didn't roll yet.
Oh yeah, I only rolled. Did you want us to roll both?
I actually only asked for the Constitution. People chose animal handling, which I thought was funny. So just waiting on Brent right now.
You were talking about animal handling first.
I'm kind of blanking on this writing.
You said can make a handle animals check.
If you click on riding horse, and then you just press the Constitution button, the CON button.
I just didn't see the curve.
Roll.
Fucking hell!
Every time.
Brent is the worst with horses. Oh God. So anyways, you, so unfortunately, while you guys are riding along and pushing the horses hard, so on and so forth,
Another horse.
Brent had one of the better
I'm gonna
horses.
teleport everywhere. Fuck you guys.
And he was, unfortunately, as you guys are riding, like I said, this is across fairly open plains. The problem with riding horses in plains and not roads is that sometimes there's divots that you don't see, like on the other side of a rock or just out of view, or, you know, there's little foot catches that a human, but when a horse has all this weight on its back and it's being pushed to ride faster than maybe it otherwise would have been comfortable doing, it can twist its ankle and break its ankle, hurt its knee, so on and so forth. In this situation, we're actually going to have it so you end up slipping the horse's disc. So it actually gets like a slip disc in its back, and you just completely fuck the thing up, and it freaks out. And the horse is able to, not through your animal handling check, that thing is not letting you anywhere near it. But through like the tenderness and skill of Luis, the horse will continue traveling with you guys. It's going to continue moving at a much slower rate and it cannot carry anybody on its back at its current state. You are welcome to try to heal it. For this to happen, Luis, make me an animal handling to calm down the horse well enough that he can try to use magic to heal it.
See if I
Oh, that horse can fuck off.
Man, Rick, you have the worst experience as a horse.
I'm constantly getting screwed over when it comes to these fucking horses.
You calm it down enough that you're able to come over and do your healing. Obviously, you're going to expend a spell slot. That doesn't matter because you're not engaging in combat this day anyways. But you can roll me a heal check, please. Medicine, what do they call it? Medicine. Veterinarian check. Okay, so lucky number 13. You were able to treat the horse well enough using your magics and everything that the horse can still be ridden, and you mostly cure its injury, though there will be long-term negative effects to it, unless, restoration spells can be accessed and But you're too heavy, and it doesn't like you. So the boy,
I don't like it. It's fine.
The boy is going to have to
switch. It's going to be lighter. Oh, it's the boy.
The boy is going to be able to switch to this horse, and you're going to be able to kind of go to the boy's horse.
Brown mounts his horse, and the horse looks at the other one. It's like a sad look at its eyes and says, "I guess it's my time."
Well, remember the one that the boy was on was kind of the plug before, so now you're on just kind of like the dumb horse. It's kind of like, its tongue like hangs out its side, and whatnot. So you guys are gonna keep pushing on from here and trying to get your way into the forest. Now, as I had said beforehand, as the dwarf.
Why are we rushing so much? The forest's already burned down. They're all dead. We're gonna find a graveyard.
Yeah, but we don't know that.
When you guys get to an area into the forest, it is as the dwarf warned. You might not be able to read the signs anymore. They'd been destroyed by the fire. But on the plus side, you have a huge ashen area in front of you that tells you you've more or less arrived. So you don't really have to worry so much about that. Now, you would like to think that fires spread uniformly, outwards, and so you could easily find the center. Unfortunately, that's not true. Fires spread at their own, based off of the wind and the dryness and all sorts of other details. So finding the center of this place where the fire would have started is going to be a little difficult. Fortunately for you, you guys have a few people that are very good with things like survival checks and being able to be like, well, this area is particularly moist, so it would have gone slower here. This area is particularly dry, would have gone quicker, and kind of triangulate yourself to a semi-centered area. So Luis rolled a terrible survival check, so he already did that on his own. I guess you're going to have Bastion with the aid of the other two are going to roll his with advantage.
But I'm like an expert at causing fire. Would that not give me any sort? No, just kidding.
Bastion? With advantage,
so
boy.
I get advantage on it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think my survival's as good as Neil's though.
It's not, no.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I mistaken the two. So Neil could have rolled. Neil, did you? That was my mistake that I prompted that. You're welcome to roll in his place with the advantage. That was all me.
What would you rather do, Bastian?
Keep the 17 or roll for higher.
The 17 is probably good.
Cool, we'll take the 17.
Okay.
But what if 18's like the magical threshold? No, just,
Then
it's
you've
fine.
screwed us!
It's always an even number, unless it's divisible by 5. So the you guys are going out there and just trying to, like, as I was saying, this area is more wet, this area is more dry, trying to triangulate to where the center area is. Eventually you do, and this isn't like a quick trip. This whole thing is going to take you over a week again, traveling across, getting to the wooded area. Traveling through the ashen area is difficult. Not because of the dangers of animals. Actually, animals are far and away from here. Beasts are far and away from here. There's no neckers or rot fiends anyway. They would have been engulfed by the fire and burnt up. So a lot of that makes the place safe. There will certainly be naturey beasts, fey creatures that would be over here and upset with the fire and approaching the situation in the near future. But it is still recent enough that that's not taken place yet. And you guys are all aware of this from your various bits of information that you have. So the trek through there is not dangerous because of that. It's dangerous because you're dealing with trees that are still, like, charred and standing, but falling over, or areas you think the ground is, like, solid ground because it looks, but then you step on it, you're like, no, it's just ash is settled into an area. It's a whole bunch of, like, thatched trees and whatnot, and then you kind of, like, put your foot through it. So it's a dangerous trek through here.
So would you say it's difficult terrain?
Absolutely difficult terrain
Quick!
because of that.
Messi, pop your thing.
Yeah, he knows.
Grab the scout, tie him down, rub him over.
There is
Like,
no
he's
difficult
he's like
when
keeping
I'm around.
of it.
Honestly,
It's
it's like I don't know what wizards were thinking when they were like, "Hey, you know that mechanic we made? This entire class, just screw it. Bye, mechanic. Travel's not a thing anymore."
Third edition never did anything like that, but third edition did have a spell that you could cast that more or less did that for you. But you would have to constantly cast a spell, and I think it was a 3rd level slot, so you have to wait a while to get it.
Yeah, and I mean, a 3rd level slot's a big undertaking as
Yeah.
well. That's a reviver fight.
It was either a 3rd level slot or a 2nd level ranger slot, which you understand the significance of that. They only had 4 slots, 4 levels in 3rd edition.
I don't understand because I never played 3rd.
That's fine, but you understand the mechanics of D&D. So moving on, you get it. So you guys are traveling through, and you eventually come to the area that was very obviously where the Scoia'tael were, and it's obvious where the Scoia'tael were because you find bits of, like, where there's a charred corpse here and there's a charred up metal there and stuff like that. It's like the things that wouldn't have been wholly consumed by the fire or are still about. For you to kind of stumble across and realize this is where the Scoia'tael camp would have been. Coming across the area and just, like, taking in the gravity. Everybody do me a favor, roll me your perception or investigation checks, and I'll kind of spell things out for you to react. Rick's back to normal.
Sorry, Rick.
Perfect.
I know.
I rolled a 2 next.
Oh, nice one.
You know what I mean.
Is that you?
It's rolled as me, but the name is June.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you. So it's the correct sheet, which makes sense because the not the square bubble. So our guys are looking about trying to find out what you can, and you can just see. As I was saying beforehand, a bit of bone that hasn't been fully consumed by the fire, the metal, the swords, the armor, bits like that. Part of a treehouse that wasn't entirely consumed, but you can see the planks still together, but like charred in areas. Walking about, you're trying to find out, like, maybe how big this camp was. It's really, really difficult to pick up. But most importantly, Tal, you're the one that hears. Well, you and, of course, Bastian. As you hear the creaking of a bow as arrows are knocked and being drawn about you. Both
Sounds
of you
like
guys
someone-
can hear.
It sounded like someone was drinking a soda with too much ice in it, not a soda well.
I was trying to do a creak like no. No, I can't do it. So yeah, a creaking of bows around you as you can feel there's about an ambush to take place. The two of you guys are able to react quickly before I do. The other two can't. They're ignorant.
React quickly.
So I'm a little worried that if we do anything like too quick, like drop to the ground or something like that, then these are our allies, and then they're not going to be our allies when they see us react quickly. But also,
I mean, I wouldn't call my allies about to shoot at me.
well, you know what I mean. Like the Scoia'tael, they don't know that we're their allies, sort of.
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, Tal doesn't trust them. Tal
or it
has a
could be.
reaction in mind.
Okay, fair enough.
So Bastion, you can go first if you'd like.
Who's near me?
You guys are all kind of traveling together, so on and so forth, but you're spread out a bit doing this this investigation. So I imagine over by where a pile of bones are and a bit of armor is where Bran is actually covered in ash. Now is down on a knee, kind of picking up maybe an arrowhead and looking at it and seeing it's clearly of Scoia'tael creation, elven creation. And so,
I'm so glad these aren't in my body.
yeah.
Not yet.
And he's probably a solid 30 paces or so from where you are, and you have what's his face, Luis is still atop of his horse, looking about, kind of taking in just the sheer devastation of the woods, but also trying to see what he can of the area. What's his name? Tal, still on top of Dune, is not looking about at the devastation. He just keeps a keen eye because he just doesn't trust this whole scenario entirely, and he kind of turns his head very quickly towards an area where he thinks he hears something. And then I imagine you are also dismounted as well, nearby between the two horses, yours, which you're dismounted from, and the boy still sitting on his. And you were also kind of investigating stuff while you just heard something instinctively because you're heightened hearing.
And does it
You
sound
spread
like
out.
we're completely surrounded by
You
these?
definitely heard an arrow to one direction, creaking about to one direction, and then a second creaking about 70-80 degrees off to another direction. But if not surrounded, certainly multiple points of attack.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull Boy off the horse and is there anything that there's a form of cover, like a tree?
The horses are to either of your side. There are trees that have not completely fallen that are charred up. Here ends there. Again, a few paces to get to, but also the trees that have fallen. You can always duck behind those because even though
Right.
you've been to campfires before, it takes a long time for a log to completely become charcoal, right? A lot of times in these forest fires, the trees do not entirely become coal, but the huge chunks of charred wood, that effectively useless wood. And so there is a lot of that about that you can run and dive under or behind, et cetera, et cetera.
I'll probably find one of those fallen trees or one large enough to basically block block my body as much as possible. I'm gonna have Boy behind me closest to the tree, and then I'm gonna have my shield up.
So you kind of run and dive to this tree cover, whatever it is. Now, as you move quickly to run to the tree cover to protect your ass and the boys, the quick movements do kick up a lot of the dust, of the charred dust and whatnot. And in doing so, at the moment, you don't have to make any Constitution saves or anything like that, but you definitely immediately start coughing.
I'm also
Okay.
gonna say get to cover to let everybody else know.
So you kind of get to cover as you grab the boy and you're rushing over, pulling out your shield and diving underneath there. Again, that's a lot to do in a short period of time, but witchers move unerringly fast. Tal, how did you react?
So seeing Bast go for the boy, which is obviously the weakest member. The next person who will die very swiftly, filled up by arrows, happens to be a wizard boy. So he'll put his heels to Dune and then leap off to land next to Bran, pushing him further down from one knee, prone, and shout, ambush.
Okay. So it's kind of like one of those, you're sitting on Dune, as you said. You kick him. It does like a quick, does like three quick like hops, and you like jump off of it on like the fourth hop, and next to him, and just kind of like shove him down. Dune kind of continues riding off a little bit. It's again kicking up a ton of ash and dust inside the area, all about you guys. It smells like charred wood and ash, which is kind of gross. And you immediately start coughing a little bit as the plumes of dust kick up. Okay. Once you guys start doing that and running off and all that stuff happens, you guys immediately take to cover. Right afterwards, we're going to have to roll for initiative as arrows are about to be launched. So before you roll... No, because you didn't roll high enough.
I didn't roll high enough?
Nope, with your 16, you did not roll high enough. But you can roll for initiative.
Damn,
son.
I'm not your son.
Sorry, I didn't get it with my 7 investigation either.
So I mean, I did physically push Brand prone there.
Correct. I allowed all of your narratives to work. I was being nice. You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, anytime.
Oh no, I've got the brand curse.
I do a thing.
Not as well as I. Oh, better than me. Damn.
Luis, did yours actually do the 2 and take the higher? Did that actually happen? Just confirm that.
It doesn't display it if you look. It doesn't display it in the traditional way for some reason with initiative. But if you hover over it.
But if you hover over it, shows it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's all that matters.
I don't know why it only rolls 1, but it says it rolls 2. That's weird.
Okay, so all that takes place as I just described. Why is this not? As I just described. But despite all of that, no, you did not come out the correct way. You're supposed to be. There we go. You still have 2 of you guys still axe before they do, even though they kind of like had an ambush set up. Because of the fact that there was a sign. They don't get the surprise round because of 2 of you. So, Bran, you're actually able to act first. You're currently prone with plumes of dust kicking up around you, and you know that there's an ambush about to happen. What do you do, sir?
I'm casting Mage Armor to get my AC up to 12 base. And would it be possible to kick up as much dust to make it harder to hit me and Tal?
Well, say that one more time. What about you and Tal?
Don't do it.
I would like to kick up dust.
Don't do it.
Actually, what you might even be able to do that with the cantrip, depending on which ones you have. Obviously, like things like gust of wind and stuff like that would be much better. But
yeah, no, I don't have any of that.
if you have any,
but that's
no. You can
5 pounds of dust and go.
You can adjust your spell, can't you?
He can with checks. He can change his spells. So pretty much anything that controls winds.
Already wrong.
Yeah. Anything that changes winds.
Instead of it being a fireball, it could just be a buffet of hot air. If you're able to generate heat, then you can just generate a heated ball of air.
I think he's just trying to kick up a cloud of disruption.
Yeah, hot air would do that.
Yeah, but I think it's better to have Mage Armor than to spend a Firebolt, like chucking up dust.
Yeah,
unless you can think of another spell that might be able to do something. Obviously, like a wind wall would be pretty incredible for something like that.
Would you allow me to use Misty Step to like teleport in place a few times and like kick up dust that way?
It kicks up 0 dust.
I figured, yeah. Well, in that case, there's not really much I can do with cantrips and stuff, so I'm just gonna cast Mage Armor and like try to throw up as much dust as I can.
Okay. Sorry, I see Misty Step as being kind of like disapparating, apparating in Harry Potter
yeah,
series.
It makes perfect sense. I'm just trying to, to get the best deal.
Of course. So you just go into Mage Armor then to get your AC up to that 12. Okay. So you cast Mage Armor, kind of like stay down low. You probably get yourself back up from being truly prone, back up to like almost on a shin or a knee or whatever it is. So you only have to spend like 10 foot of speed instead of 15 to stand up.
He wants to stay prone.
Well, mechanically prone.
Yeah.
And then you start you get yourself ready to stand up. You cast and then you allow somebody else to take their action. Luis, it's your turn.
Awesome. How far away am I from the shirtless boy and the mage man?
Oh, I was like, what? I would probably say easily you're on your horse, so half your horse's move.
half my horse's move?
So 30 feet, 40 feet, whatever that is.
Okay. All right. So I'll do that. I'll move to them.
Okay. And you stay mounted?
No, I would jump off the horse and slap its ass and make it run away.
Okay.
And then I will. I'm gonna cast a spell.
What spell?
I'm gonna cast fog cloud.
Ooh. And he brought a little bit of the foglet with him. So he actually learned that spell when he brought his dad back from the dead. So
He's turning into a foglet. Get him!
Get the fogger!
So you billow out that fog, and it actually works kind of like what Bran was thinking about doing. This is a more effective version of that. Sure, you guys can't see outside the fog, but they also can't see in. This is a 20-foot radius. I had already described Bastion as being a bit further than that. So Bastion, you're outside the fog, but you also have your own kind of cover thing going on. It's now their turn. They start firing arrows into where it was that you guys are. But even though the arrows, you can see them hit around you. The only one that would have hit Bran. And instead, it's literally like as an arrow comes in, it hits to it would have pierced through Bran's shin, but it turns last second to hit into the ground at him. It was like it was deflected by something last second to hit into the ground, next to him. His magic taking full effect. That's.
Oh, I thought that was something else. I was like, no way.
Now it's Tal's turn.
Does something.
That was Tal's turn.
Tal next.
I had pre-rolled their attack, and they'd only hit an AC of 11. So.
Wow, that's like the one time that tiny difference actually comes into play.
I'm effectively blinded here, aren't I?
Yeah, beyond like whatever's. I like the idea that anything is immediately adjacent to you, you can still see it, even if it's difficult to attack.
Yeah. I can't fire back at them because I can't see anything.
You also don't know exactly where they are either.
Yeah.
They at least know what square you're in.
How far am I from the edge of this?
You are in the center of it, so
It's 20 foot either way.
a decent
And
distance.
if I had to listen as all these arrows were coming in, how many thuds would I have heard?
I would say 6 thuds to what had just attacked where you are.
So perhaps 3 combatants. Okay.
Yep.
I'm working on the fact that they're elves.
Yeah.
Square tail, they probably have the capability of firing 2 arrows.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if it's 20 foot forward, Tal's going to draw his crossbow.
Mm-hmm.
And trot that distance forward out of the fog.
Okay, now that takes up 40-foot speed because of the rough terrain.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right.
Okay, so you walk out. So now you're exposing yourself, and in exposing yourself, the Scoia'tael that were firing before, they did have cover before, and they probably would have kept popping behind cover. But with the fog now being there, they're just standing up to try to like get better angling or strength to fire into the fog itself. So you do see 3 off to the direction that you come out if you look about. There's 2 of them like pretty much adjacent to each other, and one probably about like 15 feet to the side of where those 2 are. They're Scoia'tael. They're elves. Looks to be 2 ladies and a chap.
Call out to them.
You say anything or do anything?
Don't be a fool. Don't be a fool. Oh my god,
So they were taking cover behind, presumably like a fallen large tree.
Yeah. They probably had prepared themselves to be there, or maybe they just caught wind that you guys were coming for one reason or another, and then prepared themselves or whatever. So either way, they had cover prior to your arrival.
Okay, cool. Right, so Tal's going to load in.
I say that because the likelihood of them being able to slink up in an ashen area like this is slim.
Yeah. So Tal's going to load in one of Unban's crossbow bolts.
Don't do it.
Fire at the log that they're taking cover behind, and shout, "We're friends of Carius."
You have to roll me a d20 for that attack roll, because if you roll 1, you have a chance of shooting one of them by accident.
Oh my god.
Can I add my modifier? I mean, I just add my modifiers, right?
Yeah, attack roll.
But disadvantage.
Correct, because of your eyeball thing.
You know, I was thinking of shouting to them, but the last friend of Carius didn't go over too well, I imagine.
So you fire, 11's easily, you hit your non-moving target thingy. So, and then you called out those words one more time.
So I know the full one, but I don't know whether. So I'd say we care for Carius. I won't just say dwarven people because it's evident. Look, that's a dwarven crossbow bolt.
Yeah. So you say we care for Carius, and so when you call that out, that it seems to be that the two ladies that are there and were fighting, they didn't seem to give a fuck whatsoever. They were like clearly knocking another arrow, drawing, bagging it, ready to fire again. But then the guy that was standing next to the lady with the crossbow bolt down, he looks down at it and then does that, and he kind of like puts his hand out in front of her bow, and then calls out to you in common, and says, "Where'd you get that bolt from?"
Can I at this point yell in, or is it still his turn?
Anybody can free action to speak, and you did.
I
hear
would
the
like
words.
to reply to them in Elder speech. We are friends of Zodal.
Flex.
Okay, so a combination of your firing the bolt and him saying the words and all that stuff, kind of like this display. You guys did no attacks, but instead defenses immediately. Though in an ambush, it's you usually defend as opposed to attack. Why don't you do me a favor and roll me your persuasion check? But Rick, I am so sorry. Given the scenario, you have to roll a disadvantage.
Can I not get a normal roll because I'm speaking in Elder speech, which is like their native tongue?
You succeed that persuasion check. Yes, you can do a normal roll instead.
Okay, so disadvantage charisma?
Did you just say he succeeded persuasion check against you?
Yes. Yeah. I said you succeeded your persuasion check. You get to roll normal persuasion.
A normal persuasion then.
Yeah.
Cool.
So stupid.
Oh, that's so scary. It was like, it's right on top of you. It looks like you're chug-a-lugging some vodka or something. It's right in your face, Neil. So it is a 15 persuasion. They actually choose to continue speaking. One of them from a different angle. This is actually, nobody can see this one because of just the fog being in the way, or you being in the fog itself. Calls out, and this is another, a woman's voice calls out saying, "We saw what happened from the last Friends of Zadal."
Oops.
Yeah, he nearly stabbed us too.
"Convenient story," says another one from another angle.
Would we really walk into an ambush here after our quote-unquote friend burned the place?
The woman from before calls back and says, "The whole point of walking into an ambush is that it was set for you."
And why would we have any business here still? We came to help.
The first one that called out a bit ago calls out and says, "To make sure you finish the job." And then one of the women that, like, the one he put his hand in front of the bow of, she calls out this time and says, "Which I intend to do." And she actually like knocks his hand to the side and does let loose an arrow at Tal. But
Are
Tal,
they speaking in Elder speech or?
they are speaking in Elder speech this whole time.
Okay.
So does let loose an arrow at Tal. So 1 second.
Give me that roll, big boy. Give me that roll.
One attack with a modifier of.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's do this.
I do hit. I know what you're gonna do next. Please feel free to go ahead.
What is it? It's Dex mod plus 4. What level am I? Oh my god. Okay.
Holy
16.
crap. Okay, I did 10 points of damage. So she does let loose, says, "Which I intend to do." You know, finish the job, which I intend to do. And she lets loose the arrow at Tal, and then Tal reaches out and covers it. Now, Tal reaches out and just like snatches it out of the air really quickly. Now, Tal, that may have pissed you off or thought that maybe the attack was going to continue. If it wasn't for the fact that then like you quickly like look up and you see across the way that when she had knocked his hand aside to fire that shot, and then he immediately with his bow smacked her in the side of the head like a temple shot with the his bow, and she kind of like staggers off to the side and collapses to the ground for a moment before like immediately jumping back up. Her sense is not fully back about her, but she jumps up quicker than she goes down with a dagger in her hand. Her hand shaking a bit with anger or fear or maybe just dazed from the temple shot. But she looks at him and just gives a bit of a hiss to him. And he looks back over his shoulder, back over her shoulder to the other woman that's behind him and says something else in elder speech that you don't understand. And that person like seems not to be happy about it, but also knocks and draws an arrow and aims at her back and then says something to her, almost a different tone, maybe more soothing or threatening or both, as she aims an arrow between that woman's shoulder blades. There's a few more tense moments before she just angry, like similar to what you did with the crossbow bolt, hurls the dagger so it hits the log on the side that he's standing on, over by like where one of his legs is, and she turns and storms off, kicking up Ash behind her.
To see if she has...
You know what? You win your persuasion check. I will allow you to. I'll open roll this. Here we go. Here we go. Roll 1d20
This
plus.
is a benefit for us.
It's very close to his leg, intentionally threatening, but.
Yeah, I don't like her, so I want her to get in trouble.
And so she walks off with Ash being kicked up and whatnot. With that, he then calls out, and you can hear this, of course, Rick. Everyone stand down. These are the ones that Jun may have told. These may be the ones Jun told us about. And so, Joe Run, I think her name was. Jun Run, thank you. Thank you. I didn't pull up my notes. Oh, I did, but they're different tab. Jun Run told us about. Told us about stand down, but stand ready. And
I will come out of the fog with my hands in the air.
Yep.
At this point.
Do you dissipate the fog, or do you just stay there hiding?
It's not his fog.
The other one. Massey.
Pretty sure I don't. Do I control it?
Yeah, you can dissipate it.
It requires concentration, doesn't it?
Even if it doesn't, you can just dispel it. So.
Andrew,
Okay.
subscribe to those rules, Scott.
If
Yeah,
there's a
it's
big D.
concentration up to an hour, so you can just let it go whenever.
Dispel my fog cloud, revealing that I too am an elf.
He's happy.
And then he climbs over or walks around the log that he was just hiding behind and everything, leaving behind the bolt and the dagger that are there, not caring about those, and comes over to meet up with the group of you. Everybody does as they reveal themselves. There's 13 of them there, including himself and the one that walked off. There's 13 of them there, and they you can see that every one of them is a bit trigger happy and looking like aggravated at the fact that there are seemingly 4 humans and a half elf amongst them. None of them look too pleased. Even the one that's coming over to speak to you, he doesn't have the look of a nice person. He doesn't have the look of a nice person, but he has the look of a person that has a purpose, and so he's going to try to stick to that purpose. Every one of them around you is an elf, not a single dwarf. Every one of them around you is an elf. Every one of you is getting that vibe of, we are sitting on some kerosene.
Your hair on the back of your head is prickling.
Yeah, this is some
I was hoping
kerosene-soaked
to
kindling right
try
here.
and get a Dreams Beyond roll in to maybe help with the diplomatic aspects here, but that didn't really get to work. Oh well.
Sorry.
It works, kinda.
So the what was I saying? My apologies. You guys are standing on some kerosene soaked kindling, waiting for somebody to light a match. You know what I mean? It's one of those scenarios. He's approaching you, and you're all kind of gathering together. Bastion. Last question I'm going to ask is: do you leave the boy hidden over in the area? Or do you have him come over with you?
I'm keeping him near me.
Okay, so all of you guys kind of gather together, your horses spread out and whatnot, as you go to meet with this man. However, as for how this meeting goes and how things kind of figure themselves out, we're gonna have to wait for next week to figure that out. Neil is of course going live in an hour, over on a different channel, so he needs a minute to go poop and whatnot. So why don't we finish this up with saying who we are and how you can find us, starting with Ricky Boy.
Hi, my name's Rick. I'm literally picking up furniture tomorrow and then completing my move, so that's gonna be cool. I've got Kenshi up on the channel in the meanwhile, if you want to go and watch that. Kenshi's an open world squad-based RPG in which the world does not care about you. It's brutal, and I love it.
It's a fun watch.
How much is that game? Should I get that game?
It's £22, but you should get it.
So
It's a really good
22
game.
pounds is like $115, right?
Yeah, and not have to break
As despite how horrible of economic decisions your country makes, they're always doing significantly better than mine.
Give
Well,
them
you
a
know.
year and their economy will be in the state that if you throw a euro at them, they will hungrily snarl at you for it.
You're waiting for it. You're just waiting.
He wants it. Look
We're
at
gonna
it.
purchase the entire island for like bottom prices.
Oh, there
Why
you
do
go.
you think we're all getting dual citizenship for Irish citizens as well?
Oh, there you go. Only part of Ireland, right? Because the other part's part of the UK.
Well, you're talking about like Northern Ireland,
Yeah.
Southern Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you want dual citizenship.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Next.
Who's next?
Yeah, who's next?
Who wants to be next? Vi for my love.
So roll for it.
Messy.
All right, we'll roll for it. No, we're rolling for it.
Guys, thanks for the solidarity there. He was like, "Vi for my love," and he quickly realized the fact that none of us
Nobody
would.
loved.
Hey, roll a d20, idiot.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Bran, you're next. Go ahead.
I already did my thing.
That's okay. You can do someone else's thing now.
Oh wait, I rolled way higher.
Messy, go.
I got a 3, which, as we all know, in a god roll, is the closest to getting the god. So
Messy, go.
No.
All right.
Brand one fair and square.
Dunce, you're up.
All right, you can find me at twitch.tv/dumpspace/subscribe. Subscribe. Give me money. Subscribe.
I feel this weird impulse to subscribe to Dunspace.
And Messy.
Give me money.
Hey, my name's Messy Cat. I Twitch sometimes and YouTube and stuff.
And
need your money at him.
I am Daelric. You've already found me here. You can also find me tonight at twitch.tv/Lost Initiative Show, where I am half of the show. That's right, I'm that good. It's Mathis and I and our friends. We're currently playing Star Wars. Fate in the Stars. Really cool campaign. Looking forward to playing some more of it. So hopefully we'll see you there tonight. Otherwise, you can go over to Ollie's channel. He's going live in less than an hour. Twitch.tv/OllieRant, where he's hanging out with some fools and they're playing some game that also is set in a 5e world of his own creation. I will see you all later. Bye.
You missed out the important bits, Scott. Later.